You are now listening to Operator.
You can grab your chair, we'll just do it. That's your mic?
Yeah, okay, cool.
And our mic. This is us. Do you mind closing?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Let's check the volumes. Hello, hello, hello. Yes. We're live.
Oh, wait, let me get my headphones as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to be a bit close to the
Yeah.
mic.
Yeah.
Let me
That
see.
should be good.
Yeah, welcome to Why Do You Care? Another episode where we invite people that influence what we do, inspire what we do. And you know, usually you listen to their sets or their productions or go to their record shops, whatever they do. And you're curious about more depth, how they got where they are now. And today we have Kléo. It's a very big honor to have you here.
Oh, thank
And
you.
we've been very big fans of your production
Oh.
and your performance. So yeah, thanks for coming through.
Well,
How
thank
are
you
you?
for having me. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here with you guys.
Yes, amazing. I mean, we already chatted a bit outside, and we
Yeah.
were all talking about that it's maybe a bit uncomfortable if we now switch to inside.
Now I have nothing to say anymore.
No, but maybe for everyone that's like listening, maybe you can explain like just roughly who you are, what you do.
Okay, yeah. Well, hi. I'm Kléo. I'm a DJ, and I also started producing. And I have my own label called Call for Rhythm. For now, I've only released my own music on it. But eventually, I'll be releasing artists that I dig, and taking my time. It's really nothing to rush about this. And I throw my own parties as well under the Call for Rhythm moniker as well. I'm gonna do a little promo.
Go ahead, you should.
Yeah.
It's this weekend.
Right, because we got the next one coming up Saturday in Shelter on International Women's Day with Lakuti and Tamasumo, which I'm really big fan of, and Lea Lisa as well, like absolute legend. And Biba, Sokoto, and Mayo joining us as well. And basically I'm really excited about that one. And that's what take all my time.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mostly.
Yeah, beautiful. Big shout out to Abiba. We were with her
Yes.
here last time. That's only why.
Yeah.
She's a G. But yeah, it's really amazing what you've been doing, and we bought your record on release and then just started blasting it. So it's a beautiful record.
I'm really
And it's
happy to
very
hear
nice.
that.
Yeah, and what made you kind of maybe just talking about your production for now, as we are talking about Call for Rhythm. What made you kind of expand to produce?
Well, literally COVID.
Okay. Too much time.
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to, start, but, that's how things happen, I guess, like you also need a moment to just do it. And then there was always other priorities, and I was busy with other stuff, and I was kind of, not really making the space for it. And then COVID happened, and then it was like, okay, like, let's go, like this is it, now is the window is open. And then I just basically just started, and yeah. And it was really just having the time and the mind, the space in my mind to really dive into it and make it a priority.
Mm-hmm.
I think like everything creatively, you have to make the space for it, and it cannot always be everything. So you need to really make some choices and say, now I'm gonna put my time and energy, and that was the moment it happened.
I think just we were once texting just about, I was curious on how you produce and how you kind of figured out all the cable shit that's happening.
Yeah,
when-
that's
when
what
doing-
took all the time.
Yeah.
That was days
Yeah.
and days of just
And-
getting the MIDI to work.
Yeah, exactly. And what kind of because listening to your production, at least for me, it sounds very like intuitive. It
Yeah,
sounds
it
like
is.
you're really just pressing buttons and just like, okay, I want this now, and then it's
Yeah.
in, and then out, and then, and what inspired you to go for this and not just download MP3s and just loop them? And
Yeah, I mean, I always was very much inspired by like early jacking stuff and the drums and like the jacking energy, like early Chicago house, and that's also what I played a lot. And when something is when you're occupied like digging a certain sound, then it kind of like it kind of like comes out of you, and because you've been so busy listening to it. And I really like the energy of those of this music, and it's body music, is really raw, it's really, it just it's not that conceptual, or it's not that polished, or it's not that slick, in a sense. And somehow that's I think that's what I was also keeping in the tradition, or keeping in the intuition, more than wanting, like something that had energy, and something that was has this raw energy to it. And letting it be, so like especially I think as starting producing, I was very aware of my own limitation. You're figuring it out, you're learning, you gotta, I didn't want it to sound like something that was too polished and too clean, as if I had that control, because honestly I don't have it. Like everything you start doing, you get better doing it. And that was a reality. I was like, well, if of course you can go and download some loops and have some drums that sound super clean, but I think that's what the beauty of soulful music is, also to feel the edge, to feel the vulnerability, to feel the mistakes, to feel something that, someone is also being honest and being, not afraid to be vulnerable, and when everything is the same when you play records, like you will hear someone making a mistake, but that's what happened when you play record, the mistake will happen, but that's I think, this is the same kind of mentality, you don't want it to be like a train wreck at every mix, or you don't, like, preferably not, but you know what I mean, it's like, I think to feel a bit the person behind, and let that roll, because that's the moment I was in. And now, everything you do happens at a certain time, and then you move on from it. Then you get, as you grow, you get more control. So this is the music I could make at that moment, and then the next one I cannot do it the same way, because I already moved on from that place. You know what I mean? So that's nice to have also something that registers you at a certain point,
Yeah. And how was it for you? Like, because producing, there's a million different ways. You can do it digitally, you can make it hardware based, you can make it fully analog. How did you start? Did you buy something and said, this is what I want, I tried to figure it out?
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, he bought like the MPC 2000.
Yeah.
And like the entry point to get all the is quite difficult. So
I know. Yeah.
How did you start?
Yeah, I started like actually during COVID. I bought a marketplace, like a drum machine, like 707, and it was also very funny. I mean, like the whole thing was very very like everything was a bit like weird, and it was also like anyway, let's just fast forward. I bought the drum machine and I started completely like hardware everything, and it took me also like days like dedicated to just figuring out how to make things work.
Or like a sound out.
So many tutorials, so many.
And then you hear like one kick finally.
And then you hear one sound work and you're like, yes, I got it. So that's really. But it was also I loved. It was a sound that I loved, and then I really wanted to put myself through that. Maybe it's not the easiest, but I don't know if I would recommend it also. But it was also a lot of fun to and because there was so much time, it was also like possible. And then like everything, you need to know for yourself what you want to figure out, I guess, And then also because the music I loved was coming from, a lot of it, I wanted to find the sounds from this music, back. But did I answer your question, or I just
No, it was perfect. I was just curious because you can, like, a lot of people just start on Ableton or even on their phone because, like, also the entry point to get all the
no, I
gear
made it
is
super
quite
difficult
tricky,
for
you know?
myself. Yeah,
And like some people just start with like mainly one like roof box or some sampler, and then they just figure it out, or some by like a drum machine do the rest there.
Yeah.
So I was just curious because like you also said, if you do everything by hand, clicking buttons, I think is a very different feel that you can feel.
It is.
So
it is. But then I also had I had that key step, and I was programming. You know, I was just making basically loops with the key step, and then I got an MPC one. And then there was already a little bit more like ease, you know. And then eventually a year later, I was like, oh, let me get into Ableton as well, you know. And then now, you know, like it's nice to have like the possibilities. And definitely like when coming to Ableton for arrangement was like also a lot of like ease and a lot of like possibilities. So I mean, you know, like I think you just have to find the ways that works for you and that you can be as creative as you want to be without, you know, if you're traveling, you want to go on, you know, and keep on working on the move. You can't do that. You need something that gives you the possibility to just do what you feel like, you know. And the hardware also sometimes it's so much budget, and I mean like now I don't have the budget, you know, for example. I mean sometimes maybe you have budget to buy something, but I mean it's so much budget and you can get so much, you know, it really you know, it can sound so good also now, you know, like
and it's also like you can have as much gear as you'd like, but you need just like a little MIDI piano. You can figure it out. Like I don't know if you know Kaidi Tatam. Like he does shit with one little piano.
Exactly.
And he's just the king of VST plugins.
Yeah.
But I was curious to know, I'm a very big fan of reflecting and just thinking about where I was a couple of months ago, and I love thinking about the relationship between journeys of producing, or like when we think about when we also started just mixing with records and then said we will never have a USB, and then we're just like really deep, like addictive. We had like we lived together for a while, and then it was like every day 12 hours just grinding. And you don't think about it in the moment, but then looking back on it, the journey of beat matching and figuring all that out. How is it for you with producing? Like, how do you feel about a product in comparison to, you know, the journey of, like you said, bunch of tutorials, figuring stuff out?
Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, producing is not it's not like an end goal or something, you know. And it was the same with DJing. I never started thinking I wanted to be a DJ as a career or as a profession. I had the same. I had this obsession with turntables. I wanted to know how to beat match. I wanted to use this tool and like make it my bitch, basically. You know, I was like, I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna understand the pitch like to the millimeter so that I can, you know, fix, you know, understand how this works. I'm gonna, you know, but it was you know, you have to get into. It's hard. You know how hard it is. You know how many hours it takes. You know, and that was the point. And then it snowballed into what it snowballed, but it never started from an idea of wanting to become something else than knowing how to do it. And with producing is the same, you know. The end goal is not like I don't want to, you know, I want to learn, I want to understand how to make the things I hear or I want to hear, and take the time to do that, and you know, get that groove, you know, basically out there. And that's the journey is that. The journey is figuring out how I can make the drums that I want to make, you know, and be patient. Like to me was always, like patience was always the, you know, like the reminder, like take your time. Like there is no rush, there is no, you know, you like just like apply every day to the things that you are passionate about, and give the time to it, learn from it, go on the tutorial, go on, you know, find like, you know, practice, and you know, and it's the same. I have exactly the same approach with producing, you know. I never wanted to be something else, but something that I feel I'm growing and I'm learning and I'm finding, you know, like the way to make good music, and music that makes people dance, but also that you need to define it also and it comes with doing,
And when you were talking before about that there's melodies you want to get out, what is it that, and it's a very cheesy question, but what is it that kind of inspires you? Is there like, do you sometimes just walk and there's a melody in your brain, or is it?
No, I think it's well, minor sevens. If you're into house, like every chord that's is a minor seven is gonna be like, oh my god, this sounds amazing.
Just put in the MPC.
Yeah, and you're already like, oh, I feel it, But I mean, that's basically while you're like just trying things and hearing and then following this sort of like emotions and like following your own intuition in sound and in because I was never trained musically either, but now I that's also something I throw myself not only in the hardware but also in the theory and try to understand the theory and then have a bit more of control. I mean, at least understanding to how to work with it, But it was all, I mean, the music I liked it because of like a feeling and trying to catch that feeling back into, like my own production. And so, you hear the chord and you're like, oh yeah, that's like, this is nice. And then
it translates.
and it translates, and then you keep riding with that and then you keep trying and I have to say that, maybe for people, like that aspire to produce, like you just gotta do it basically, like the inspiration comes while you are, busy with it, doing it. Like it's there's no,
Yeah, because you can also go. Because for me it's also like I'm not musically trained, so now I'm also like trying to play the keys.
Yeah.
Everything is in key.
Yeah.
Get a bit more like an understanding so you can apply it.
Exactly.
But it's also nice. Like I also like sampling stuff.
Yeah.
Or like you get like one sound and then you just press a button
and you roll with it,
or like slow something down or try something which maybe doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And it inspires you. And I mean, we sometimes also like produce together, which is really fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes you also have like, you think you're cooking something up,
Yeah.
and the next morning it's the
What the hell?
cheesiest bomb ever. It's crazy.
Yeah, but that's great.
But,
I think this is, like,
Yeah.
I think that's the process. Basically,
Yeah.
that's what you were also saying. That the process is that. Is the every day is the moment you share together. This is it.
Yeah. And I think, like we said, I think it's also so. I think I've said this before, but I like to emphasize on it. There's just so many DJs that start producing because they feel like they need to start to produce, but it's, for me at least, it's really important that you actually feel that you have something to say.
Yeah.
There's something, some context to it, because like you said, music is, your first albums are not going to be as polished and as perfect as your last, and that's the beauty of the whole
exactly.
storyline.
Exactly.
And it shows just what music really is.
Yeah.
It's just the story of a human,
Yeah.
musically.
Exactly, and the energy, like your like you, there is like a beauty in the raw, like I mean, I love that too, and there is also like a naivety that, because you don't fully control, everything, like what needs to come out, find its way, but is, that naivety, you're gonna lose it. The more control you have also over your skills and over, your process, the less naivety is gonna be also, which is also the next step. You're also able to be more like designed, in a way. But I think that rawness has a lot also in there, and then if you hear like all the works of like many artists or like their earlier, you're like, whoa. Like there's something is really like alive, in these early phases, and
But I think also like it's really like you get more specific, or not specific but different with age or like a year. Like I remember the first times we were digging records, like I was super like into African records and Ghanaian and Nigerian stuff. Yeah. And now I'm like
you moved
a bit far away.
Of
I
course.
still love it, but it's the same
course.
with like music, or now if you go digging, like you have like this specific like, oh, I need these elements, then it's great. Then
I think it's like, it's true, because it's like your ears are like a brain in some sort of way, and then when you start the journey, that you maybe your It's gonna sound so weird. Like your ear.
Your brain is a baby.
Yeah, exactly. It's a baby. And then you hear certain sounds in a certain way, you hear tracks in a certain way. And then as you grow in your journey, you know, like you start to develop more like as a teenager, and then things that you didn't understood, maybe like at the beginning, they start to sound, you know, you start to like literally hear them, you know. And then I remember when I also was starting, like I was buying records and I didn't understood them, you know, but I like that. I like it so much, but I couldn't play it, I couldn't mix it. I didn't have the control to do it, but I could recognize the sound, that there was something that really appealed me. And then I saw in my development how suddenly I was able to control this record, and finally I was able to mix them. And that was something that was really striking, and I was like, whoa, how crazy is that, you know? That so at first you don't fully, I think, understand why you like something, and then you get so familiar with it, you listen to it over and over and over, then of course, but that leads you to understand something else that you didn't had, you know, the means yet to understand. And then your journey, you know, that's why also you keep on looking for different sounds, and like you keep on growing and you evolve, you know. Like
I think it's also like, just quickly, I think it's also the same with like if you go to clubs or places, like obviously if you only get fed like, let's say in quotation mark, bad music, or like fast food music, you don't get it. And then if you get like a really nice, I don't know, wine or whatever, and then you like,
oh wow,
you don't know how to react.
It's
a bit too. I think it's similar if you go out a bit more, if like the city is curated nicely, people can appreciate it also more. And I think you can gain more in all the music which has a bit more history, and it's like from a person that really has soul, wants to say something, because then you can feel it or interpret it in your own way. But like just like the hits or something, not that they're bad, but I don't think you get that feeling of one person.
It's also not in the music, you know, like it's music that is more designed to answer, also like to triggers, you know, the listener into a familiar place, you know, so that the listener is able to feel like, oh, like something is happening, oh something is about to happen, oh something is gonna happen, it's happening, you know.
It's like
so, you know, it's
like when you go, and I have no issue with minimal tech house, but like if you like now on Instagram, if you like scroll through their gigs, every highlight is the drum roll for 48 bars, and then it just drops into a beat, and it's every time the same thing. And that's because people get it. People, they know that, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm about to get excited about this."
It's you know, it's designed, you know, for that, you know. So it's not designed to make someone listen to something and experience something they haven't, or bring them on a journey, and then everything is, you know, really is up to the people. If they want to do that, then do that. That's fine, you know. But that's very different, basically. To say is a very different, and that's a bit the landscape, you know, in Digiland, you know. It's tricky. Because not everything is about, not everyone is looking for the same experience, or, you know, is playing music for the same, having personal experience. Or
it's just, I mean, it's in a very interesting place, because at least for me, I feel it like shifting into two very directions, and one is very delusional, I feel like, especially for a DJ sense. It's very surreal. And the other side, you feel there's a lot of grassroots and like musicians being like, fuck this, I'm gonna do my own party, and we'll try to do our own thing. And in Rotterdam you have it a lot, and it's in Amsterdam it's starting, and I can only speak of The Hague for us and our friends, but it's just I had a discussion with a friend about this. I feel like we should call it, just name it different things. You know, it's because it's different. It's different things.
Different. It's different.
But well, I feel like we have this discussion every week. It's always the same. It's in the loop. But
no, I mean, it's I know, you know, we all know it. We know, we all deep down, we all know, and I think that's that's also the thing of the underground, you know, in a way. And there are, you know, like, I mean, it goes through so many cycles and phases, and maybe at some point a certain genre that you are into comes to back to life, and then the moment it comes back to life, it gets picked up again, and then it goes through this sort of cycles, and then now we are in a different cycle, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, you know. But then when you're not in the cycle, it's the time to, you know, invest. It's the time to do your own thing. It's the time to gather people that like the same thing together. And then because, you know, you realize that it's actually up to you to create that environment, and, you know, and not rely on other, you know, institutions to make that happen, because maybe there was just a lucky time where those institutions were into that style of music, and then they move on to the next thing. This is more like hype based, you know. Then it is really about investing into, you know, the underground, or the music, or the people, or creating a scene that is open, or, you know, there's two different things. You know, there is a commercial market value thing, and then there is an art thing, and then this is a world where it intertwines with each other, because at the end you still need to make the work, the night work, sell tickets. You know, it's a complex, you know, like,
black and white as well.
It's a complex, you know, like organism, you know. But like as you say, I agree. There's really, it's two different things, you know. Like it's like the same with, like, you know, like. Not all bakeries are the same, you know.
Exactly. Like
so it's all bread. Like, let's go into our bakery metaphors.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's you don't, you know, it's not the same. It's not the same experience. It's not the same product.
It's like it's like fast food. It's one is processed quick food, and you get it quick and easy, and you know it's gonna, like, for them, gonna be tasty. Yeah. And the other just needs a little bit more work.
I think also, like, you just need to be, like, also a bit real with yourself. Like you said, there's like a category of people that can afford everything.
Yeah.
And like if you do like music or DJing or something, I think you can also be aware that you're not gonna be rich off it. Like it's not sustainable if you chase the hype. Like it's way more sustainable if it's fulfilling to you. If you sleep at night and be happy to wake up tomorrow.
But also the music that you're playing, you know, you have to think about, you know, the music has its limitation too, you know, in some ways. So if you want to play for 10,000 people, you need to adapt the sound, you need to adapt what you're playing for that experience. Yeah. So it also is, you also have to be honest with what do you want to reach. If you want to reach, like, if you're happy in a 200 capacity, which is perfect for the music that we play, like, let's say, you know, and you keep this communal, you keep this you connect to the floor, you connect to everyone, that's one thing. But you have to be aware that the moment it grows, you stretch it, and you also stretch your music. So how far do you want to stretch the music? For some DJs, no problem, and again, go for it, you know. Like, but that experience cannot always translate to the bigger. So
true. But how is it? I'm just curious, because how is it for you? Because you've been DJing probably for a while now. Like, how did it?
Oh, well, it's that crazy. I mean, you know, I started DJing just, you know, like bar dancing, and, you know, 5 hours on the Wednesday night, you know, every Wednesday night, you know. That was really the, you know, and from there to starting playing in clubs, and then, you know, so it's, you know, like such a different journey, and things that I used to play at this, you know, on, you know, this kind of places, and had to move on with the clubs, you know, and now, you know, like, I think the whole process of DJing with years, it's an industry as well, you know, at the end. I mean, if you want to be working in that industry, you have to understand it, you know. And that's very different from, you know, like the gigs, you know, the beginnings, and then starting to have a voice, or wanting to create something that reach people, you know, within an industry that is not really looking for that either. I think, you know, like it's an industry that, if you're, you know, like, how to say, it's you know, the longer you play doesn't guarantee you that you will, you know, like be booked, and also be booked, and be, because the industry works with hype, you know. It works with who sells tickets, you know. And maybe you're not in that, you know, at this moment of your grow for you, you don't give what they are looking for, but then you as an artist, as DJ, you need to be able to get through that, and then and be committed to keep going. And that's when it gets a little rough there, like basically, because it's also a game of like commitment and being able to get through and keep on doing what you do, or adapt. For some DJ, they adapt to, and that's also fine, like everyone does what they want to do, and they adapt, also finding an interest. But that's one way, and that's maybe also why you see the growth for like some DJ evolve into like more trend based sound, or not. But if you are if you do your sound and is not really in the interest of the moment, then it reduces drastically your field of action, let's say.
And did you feel that sort of happening with you, starting with bar dancing, and then did you feel your sound evolve into?
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
what sound did you then start with? What kind of?
I played a lot of boogie. I played a lot of funk, boogie, and really much more organic, stuff, and disco still. But the moment that I stepped in the club, I also understood, I started also work with the club sound system, was very different. I mean, I played a lot of house at the time also, but not in the bar dancing. There was like a journey of 5 hours that you don't start with house, basically. But the real switch was, also being more busy with club sound systems, and then also getting from pretty early on closing sets, like also graveyard shift, in the clubs, and that's also very, you need to adapt to this energy and like the late night, and so that came together with the situation basically, like the sound evolved with the situation that I was evolving in, and
I'm just curious on I've got my own opinion, but I'm curious to hear about yours. How does a system kind of influence your playing? Because you're going to be playing at Shelter. It's a very impressive system that is over there, system. And there's other clubs that are not as great with the system. So how do you kind of adapt? How do you think about a set?
Yeah, like for example, like with records, that's one thing. Like especially, let's say all the jacking and 80s stuff, it's so rough. And there is everything is rough about it. And at some point, I also was right. These are my babies, but I gotta give them a break, because the experience is traumatic sometimes, in the sound system. And then that's one thing, it's like understanding from your music, how far you can take the edge, and because it's amplified, and that you have to also understand for the experience. I think I always feel about the experience of the dancers in the room, and how I want it to be pleasant. I don't want it to be punishment, and there's just as far as you can I think be testing things. So that was one thing that I started reassessing. I cannot take this with me anymore, or I can take it on. I have to microdose it.
And that's just because it's like like the mastering is clipping.
Yeah, it's too hard, or find ways to, maybe you rip it, and maybe you do a little like you clean it out on some, you translate it basically in it, or like if a track, I always feel like in the club you don't want to drop the ball, basically. So even if you go from a track that has like a really heavy kick to another track that has a really soft kick, you feel it instantly. You feel that the sound is like, it kind of like boof, and that's something the more I started playing in clubs, the more I was like the sound control and the sound design of what you are busy with needed to like be lifted up, because especially playing from records, and if you buy all your track like digitally, and they're remastered, is all on a certain loudness, and that's something different, but being like busy with vinyl, I had to really like understand, okay, I need to clean a bit my my bag basically.
And also sometimes it's so crazy, like sometimes you play a track. That's why I really like rotary the most, because you have like also volume control. Like sometimes you play a track and you push it all the way and it's like doo, 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 and the other one doo, doo, doo. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I can really see that. I think every system also works different.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, like, so it's really just listening back to your music. I'm really big fan of preparing for my set. I spend, you know, a day before every weekend. Like usually Thursdays, I lock myself the whole day and I'm like, okay, let's see, what do we have, you know? From things I've been digging, from, you know, my old bag from the weekend before, cleaning my records also. There's something I'm like, it's super important that because there's so many things that can go wrong when you play records, and like a dirty record is the last thing you want it to be, like sabotaging you, it's like self-inflicted pain, like at least if anything else on the setup you didn't cause, it's fine, but so like really resetting like everything and just really testing the tracks, listening, like testing mixes, listening if those mix could work, if, like you say, mastering difference is so high, and even if you push a channel totally open, it still doesn't come true. I'm like, well, either I'm going to rip it and, push it a bit so that I can use it, or maybe, like the intro, the drums are like so complicated that you can never make a clean mix out of it, or it's, like things like that, for example.
And,
like,
do you? Sorry.
No.
I'm just curious. Do you sometimes, because you sound like you're very prepared and very know what you're doing, but are you sometimes also going in with the intention of, okay, I'm just gonna bring these 2-3 records, and I know maybe it will not work, but you just try it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I always have like I always prepare like the beginning of my sets, because I often found that the start of my set is only figuring out shit. Like figuring out the sound system, figuring out the booth. Sometimes you play 3 tracks, you can't hear anything in the booth, like nothing. Like you don't, like you're in your headphones, nothing is like it's just to find your way in the space and in the sound, and have your kind of marks, and then you like start to hear things better. And then, even when there is mixer switches, like it's like, it's like prepare for the best, I'm like, okay, let's do this, So
mix with like 3 mix.
So like that's the moment that I'm like, okay, let's just chill. And then once you're kind of like, things are like, the boat stopped rocking, basically, you're like, okay, so where we going? And that's a bit my way to feel like cool,
Especially playing with records, like you said, you face so many problems. Like we also do a lot of sound check, and because we only play with records, and
you never use USB?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
And like for example, if you do loud check, no matter how loud you go, if people are in the room, there's gonna be bouncing back frequencies. There's gonna be, there's gonna be. I forgot the name. How's it called again? Feedback. You're gonna have feedback really quickly. So like last gig we had. First of all, no, I'm not gonna say the name, but no audio technician was there.
Yeah, that's.
And we had to do the mixer switch, all the cables, all the shit. And then we had like a bunch of feedback, and then we had to move the table as far away from the sub during the gig. So it's this kind of stuff. And then the last 20 minutes. And the funny thing is, like, of course, like I talked to my girlfriend and stuff, and I was like, I felt like shit. We couldn't get into the groove. But nobody really cares. People are like, but we're like, this sucks. This was the worst gig.
It's true. It's true. Nobody cares. But I have, for me, like when something didn't work, or I felt I didn't play my best, so I like train wreck a mix. It was the end of the world. Like it was like that's it. It's so that's I'm defeated. Like I would talk to my boyfriend also for hours, and then he looked at me at the end and was like, I can't anymore. Like just stop. Like say enough. Like it was okay. Like let it go. But I couldn't let it go. But everyone else doesn't care. They're not. They're not here to they're not here to like judge you in that way. They're here to have a good time. They're here to enjoy the moment. They're here to have fun, And sometimes the whole vinyl experience sometimes it's not fun, let's be honest, because you spend like almost the whole night trying to make it work, and when it doesn't work, you are the one looking at miserable.
Because I remember our first gig ever, like ever.
Yeah.
We were like prepped to the core. Every transition, we had a little paper ready of like.
Next one.
Yeah. I can relate. Yeah.
And then
amazing.
it was a it was a function one system, and there was people, and this is just not gonna make it perfect.
Yeah.
And we both of us, it was at a beach party, and we took a walk after, and we were just so sad afterwards.
I mean, listen, I had so many situations where it was an absolute shit show, and then I walked out and I was like, this is it, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't. It's like, it's too painful. It's like it just, like tears you, like in some way, because you're really trying to do your best, and the stuff happened, it's like there was time, like the whole, like, it couldn't pass a groove, like it just kept on like skip, and nobody came, there was nobody to be like, okay, let's help this poor girl, like, and then the owner of the bar was just like looking at me like, what the fuck is she doing?
And
I mean, so there was so many times I was like, okay, I'm done. But somehow you're not done. You go back and then you try again. Exactly, if it works.
Yeah, like it almost feels like for me at least with the mentality, it almost 360 now. Like I get excited when he's mixing in and he's off. Yeah. And I'm like, pitch right it, stay in. Keep the volume in, and now you pitch right. And then if you get it in,
right?
that's even nicer.
Exactly.
So,
No, this is the commitment. This is when you set yourself to be like, I'm gonna get through this. And no matter how painful this is, I'm gonna control this shit. And when you start to get the control, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And
I think that's the difference. If you put yourself through that process of learning, it's very different. And you hear music very differently. That's what to me, I mean, I started doing vinyl only. At some point, I stopped because of the struggle, of the technical struggle. I was like, I'm done. I could not. I was just like, especially when playing in clubs and traveling, and I was like, if something goes wrong, it's always going to be me that is, suffering.
And I think the thing is, for us, because we always play together, it's like, okay, if it's shit, at least I can have a level with him,
Yeah, exactly.
But if I would be alone there, I would be like, oh my fucking God. No.
And then also because I just didn't want it to be a problem. At the end, I want to play the music. That's what I want. It didn't. My process was my own. Like obsession about learning. Yeah. But it was not as like And that was also how, that I'm sure you can relate, I was looking for the music that I like because I could find it in the store on records, digging basically. More than an internet thing, and so I always like to go and look for it and discover it. Also not have, like just dig, that's the beauty of digging. You're going to find things that you don't know exist, Yeah. So, and then when things got too complicated technically, and it's always kept repeating itself, I was I need a plan B, and I need and like so that when something is not working, I just put the USB and move on, and it's it's also helped a lot. Like release a bit the pressure.
Also the back pain.
The pressure, and I mean I still can remember, unless really said in advance, the setup is shit for vinyl, let's not do it. Like let's just go like Hito. It was the digital set. And I was also said okay, let's avoid the pain, for everybody, and that's fine. That's totally fine as well,
No, it makes sense. It makes total sense. A bit of a midlife crisis. Yeah.
I think at some point it's time.
No.
Because?
Not just because we promised, we swore we were never.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's it's okay. It's good to be super stubborn at the start and be no, But it's also nothing holds you to just do that, It's also okay to let go of that, because like I said, at the end you just want to be able to play the music, and if most situation you can do it taking your records, and if on some situation you can't and it's got to be USB, then it's okay. I mean, that was for me was the surrender.
No. I mean, it also makes super sense. It makes super sense because the more often you go, and it's just frustrating.
Yeah, it's just
'Cause
frustrating.
You take
know?
so much care. You know, your USB, obviously you can make your folders, but like your records, you like you said, you're on a Thursday or something.
Yeah.
You take all the records you want to play, you search for them, you pick them out, you maybe listen to them, clean them, and then you go there. All the prep, you bought the record somewhere, and you can't play. So I really get the
frustration.
reason,
But I mean, there was case that I could literally not play.
Yeah, that's
like
crazy.
I mean, I had case like the arm of the turntable like was not moving. Like
How?
and it just was stuck. It was just couldn't go.
That's
and I was
crazy.
like, I was like, and they're like, yeah, is there a problem? And I was like, what do you mean is there a problem? It's not moving.
Maybe like I sound checked it personally.
I was like, are you serious? It's like, and I always bring my needles, like also that was one thing from the start. And the question always was like, are you sure it's not your needles? And I was just like, dude,
Check the arm
it's
out.
just not moving. I mean, and then there was times, it was just not possible, they don't have a spare, they cannot fix it. And then you're standing there like, wow, this is, like enough of that, basically. I mean, you just, like I say, I want to play. That's what made me at peace. And still also it's like a totally different process because I don't rip all my records, I also done like some batch ripping and then I don't go back to the files or I play it and it sounds solo and it's like mastering is like a disaster and so this is like a whole new also like process,
Yeah, can imagine. I think that's what also like I really love my records.
Yeah.
And I would never want to cheat on them.
Yeah.
I think that's like the thing. And it's also like I really love just having like you go through it and you know what is like you take it out.
Yeah.
So I'm also a bit afraid, like obviously you know your music, but like I think if you then go on that's just
it's
in my
very
brain.
Yeah.
It's very like it's a whole new.
Yeah. Also
thing.
didn't like that when you play vinyl you don't look. You look at the record, the groove, but you're so your ears are really present.
Yeah.
And the moment I switched with USB, I was drawn into the screen. I was drawn into the BPM, and suddenly I was becoming lazy. I was like, oh my god, I can just stop working here. And you stop, I stopped really at the start. It was weird to find the same kind of flow, I still don't loop much. That's one thing, like I was like also kind of shy to do. But then also the more you get into one thing, you're like, oh, I can do some live edit on the go, which is also fun, one thing becomes also you find your way creatively and then you're like, oh, this is actually cool.
Yeah, I think that's also something. It's like you've got this incredible machine.
Yeah.
It is a very impressive machine, but it also should be used doesn't have to, but you see it very little that people are actually using it to its potential in that sense. Like you have Lefto who uses the CDJ like crazy.
Yeah, like it's like,
he goes all over the place. So
absolutely.
just this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think we're also not in a position like we don't tour. We don't do the biggest parties are our own parties, and then we've got super isolated turntables, and we try our best to make it perfect.
Yeah.
So then it's of course
That's
different.
Okay. Yeah.
But
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see.
I'll talk to you in a few years again.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Talking about just current music, where we're at right now, we were talking about how a bit dystopian it is. What is your goal? Kind of where do you want to go with Call for Rhythm as a label, as a party? What is like your vision with this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, it was always like about house and house, like the lineage of house, the history, black music, its roots, and respecting that and telling the story of how also it reached me, because I'm not from the US, I'm not from those places. So how, it also traveled to me in Europe, but and keep sharing the love and how it reached me, what it made me feel, and keep giving, like keep communicating that, because it's beautiful music. It's and I just love this music so much, you know, and what it stands for and what it gives and the power and love it communicates, you know. And I think that Call for Rhythm as a party is really centered around that, is to create a dance floor that is loving, that is respecting, that is open, and that is gives a good experience to people visiting the party and make them feel, you know, some joy and through the music and the vibes on the floor, and combining pioneers and new talents, you know, so crossing generation, because that's both, you know, like the experience and you know the fresh talents, you know, working together, and that's what I would like to continue to do with the nights, and or at least have the opportunity to do it. And with the label, like I said, like I was also never in a rush, and the label is really in this independent thinking, so like really as an indie label basically. And as a platform to be able, you know, I started it because I felt I had no expectation to prove to anyone anything. I was my own judge, you know, so I had to like it. Not anyone else had to be like liking it to release it, you know. And I really like this indie state of mind, you know, like I can do whatever the fuck I want to do with it, and I'm going to continue doing that and create a platform that has a bit of this wild, creative, you know, like vibe, you know, and see where it goes all organically also, and
that also kind of it is also how hip hop and house kind of was. It was full indie, and it was just people cutting their own records, and it's
exactly.
I think also that's what I really liked about
you know, of and that's, you know, what we were talking about, you know, the whole time about, you know, commercial and underground. That's, you know, that's always been like that, you know, and I think that to be independent is also to believe in something and want to grow that thing, you know, you got to do it yourself, you know. If it's not there, or even if it gets there, if it gets picked up, at some point it's going to get dropped as well, just because it got into the movements of people seeing an opportunity, and then the opportunity passed and they see something else, an opportunity. But you know, that's why, you know, when you do it yourself, when you create a platform, when you control also that narrative, you know, you also know what you want to give and make space for that, basically. And I think also now these days, you know, like maybe also residencies are important, and it's hard to find a place to create that residency. But I think, you know, that you know, if you have people knowing there is something they like and they can return to it, it's also, you know, something that I'm looking for to create something closer and more community connected and more locally based as well, you know, because I miss that.
Yeah, I really agree, because like I will never know I was like back in the day. Like in the golden era, whatever. But like most people, like you also hear it in the sound, like it was so regional, and I think like also that's what we want in The Hague. Like we want like that sound, but we also want like local people to play, and then maybe like a bigger person. Because like it doesn't help if there's always biggest person in the lineup and there's zero connected with the city.
Exactly.
They don't know what's going on. And like for example, I really like what Traum in Antwerp does. Like they have like the local people, like always usually, and then they have like a huge name.
It's closing after.
And it's really nice, because like you need something also consistent, and also like it's really like a struggle if you're not big to make it work, because we don't earn shit from it.
Of course, no,
like we work our jobs next to it and just do it because we really like it. And then to have something like this also gives a lot, and people are more committed. Like all the people that help us at the door, like it starts at the door. Like they
people
treat
want
you.
They
know you. Oh, my friend works at the door or there. I know them. It's really nice.
I think it's also really important that people, if you just constantly book big names and that's what sells the tickets, it's never sustainable. You need a party that feeds itself, and that where people trust the party.
Nurture,
and it's like the same Yeah, I think I would love to someday have like a zero lineup, like is burning.
Yeah.
Like on the New Year's, they
Yeah,
did
yeah,
a
you
zero
don't know.
lineup.
Exactly.
and
People
you
show
just
up
trust.
because they trust the night. You know,
Exactly.
they trust the vibe. Yeah,
And
and that's the
that's
whole work. You know,
Yeah.
and I think that that's what it's about. You know, now like you need to invest in that. You need to be connected to the people that wants to come to your party. You need to extend to that. You know, if you don't, I think that, you know, if it's just a lineup, it's just a lineup. You know that the is, you know, it doesn't make people feel like, why would I want to go to that party? And then that you see that or I think it becomes impersonal basically. And I think a party should be personal. A party, you should feel like people should feel like they see themselves, they belong somewhere. They feel comfortable to come. They're not afraid to show up, you know, to feel, oh, am I gonna feel, you know, like good going, you know. It should be the opposite. You should be like, hell yeah, I want to come tonight and party and bring my friend and I'm gonna have a good time anyway, you know, like.
Yeah, you want those people to bring the energy.
Yeah.
And then the DJs work with that.
Exactly.
And,
but if you don't invest in that, and often that's a bit my issue, the issue I have in Amsterdam, in many places, I see that there is a programmer is trying to do a lineup, is trying to build something on paper. But I go to the party and, you know, maybe there's 2 rooms and in the second room they're playing hits and everybody is in the room with the hits and no one is in the room where actually the program is being made for. And the people in the party don't care. They just want the hits. And I'm like, well, then maybe there is something that is not working. You know, why do you make a program for an audience that don't care about your program? So you're missing some connection there. If you program, you need to connect to your audience. If you don't, you know, that's a bit, you know what I mean? It gets wrong there. Because, and I'm playing for nobody in the room because they are in the other room where all the hits are. And they also don't care. So, you know, the problem is more that if you want, you need to connect to your audience. If you don't connect to your audience, then it's not going to happen, basically, you know?
Yeah, it's really tricky. I mean, what we at least try to do is, like, for example, we just try to, also cost-wise.
Yeah.
But I think we also try to eliminate everything that we just have. Like, we personally also enjoy if we see a DJ for a long set.
A longer, yeah.
But like
set,
that, we just have, like, for example, the party that we do now, we always have like one attraction or like one room, and then you can't escape.
You're locked on the floor.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it also depends. Like, it also depends where you do it, what you do it. Because, for example, we were in Berlin now, and we were in Renate, and it was nice. You know, there was like a techno floor, and then there was like a bit more soulful floor.
Yeah.
Shout out Polita.
Yeah, and it's really nice because you have like both then.
Yeah.
So I think it's really like. It's so tricky.
Yeah.
It really depends.
You saw it just really quick in Renata. What made me like, she played super nice, like disco, Afro disco, boogie, and then she did a super sick transition. You know, Arsene, Jack shit. Yeah, she played that track, and I like. Yeah, I love that track. So we were dancing heavy, and people were like, "Okay, next room," just because. Yeah, because like it was something else, and then. Having so many rooms and so many possibilities, it just makes people super ADHD, and they just switch instead of.
They always feel they're not at the right place at the right time.
Exactly. Instead of trusting and being like, okay, maybe I need to get this. And the same as like, you know, extreme example. We follow Theo Parish around everywhere because we're really big fans. But I had a chat with.
I see why.
I had a chat with someone who was his first time with Theo Parish, and he was like that because Theo, of course, did his thing and played like crazy shit, and he was like, I didn't like it at first, but after like 3 hours, he was like, okay, I understand what you're trying to tell me and what you're trying to do, and then. It makes much more sense.
But, I was always surprised when people like went to Theo's dance floor and were like, "No, I'm not really into." I was like, "How can you not be into it?" I mean, for me, it was from the get-go. It was like also one of the first DJ that completely blew my mind. I was absolutely like you know, like brain explosion, you know, and. but I understand that also is not maybe it's if you haven't been
But
into music, I don't know.
It's also like the ear brain. If you have a baby ear brain,
exactly, the baby ear brain,
they don't get it.
They're not ready for it.
But
it's
I like the comparison with like, okay, you like hip hop, then maybe you understand J Dilla. It's like it's a bit off, but I still like it. And then the same with house, you know. It's like sometimes you have super off beats and like especially with Theo stuff and you know, and you get it. It's about the character, about being dirty and raw.
Groove, you know, and hearing groove, like recognizing groove, you know, like. That's also, you know, like that's a design groove, you know. Actually, it was like super organic and raw sound, but it's super controlled and designed, you know, and you know, minimal also in its way, you know, like reduced to the essence of how something can groove, you know, and
it's literally like that because we had it in the beginning as well. Like we were only organic sound. Like didn't even touch techno or house or whatever. And especially for you, it was like when he got the connection with jazz to techno, then for you really clicked. And I think it's also the more you, like, if you don't really go out clubbing, because our generation us too, like COVID really took it away from us in a way. But like, you can't sit in your living room and on your JBL speaker and listen to a Theo Paris track. It's nice, but you need to feel it, you
need to be
in
the sound, you need to feel the bass. Exactly. Shelter, that's why, you know, like you know, no, but seriously, I mean, for me, Shelter was also the point of, because of the sound system, like the experience. Like that's, you know, you want to experience club, you need to be in the club. I mean, this, you know, you need to feel the bass. You need to feel something that is hitting you physically. And that like enveloping you. You know, that's
also with house, you need to celebrate. With house, you need to celebrate it with people. That's
absolutely.
This like if it's like a 10-minute, and after 6 minutes the vocal comes in, and everybody's like just grabbing their brains, you know.
Exactly.
That's what it's about.
Exactly.
And,
100%. Yeah, it's a communal experience. You know, it's that's also why, you know, for me, I still pursue this, you know, maybe it's an utopia or I don't know, like, but I really believe in that, you know. This is the part that makes, you know, also us, that connects us together, that makes us, you know, like all feel like connected, you know, like and that's the beauty of it, you know. So I mean, that's the beauty of dance floor. That's why, you know, it's a special experience, you know. And I really I'm chasing that, you know. I believe in that, you know. I believe it's possible also to continue creating that, and like continue introducing, you know, also younger generation to that. And, you know, hopefully, you know, like for example, Shelter is very good at bridging different generation, you know. And I think that also, like now in the weekends, they have a lot of younger DJ are playing, but I'm not sure how the younger generation is aware of the more old school house, you know, and if they've been, you know, actually properly introduced to it, you know.
Like, that's why you're there.
That's what I'm trying, you know. I'm trying to bridge, you know, and to let them feel like the joy, you know, like that euphoric, you know, like experience it can be, you know. So
just the I think exactly what you said before, like the soulful sounds so stupid, but like the imperfections, the rawness,
it's part of
like
it.
You have a combined experience without talking, but everyone feels maybe the same or similar. It's so nice. But if you have like everything too
quantized and
polished, it's like but
we can talk forever. But I really
we started that time.
I mean, I can talk for another hour, but I also really want to hear your music talk.
Let's do it.
Is there anything else you want to say? Is there anything you feel like?
No, I think we got pretty much everything out, you know. Like it was a pleasure. It was really pleasure to meet you both in
you
real
too.
life. And really good chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And get your tickets this 7th of March. March?
Yeah.
Yes. Shelter.
Nice.
So 1 more hour of music, and that's it.
You're listening to Operator.
every man, every woman, every boy, every girl, everybody. We should all be free. You, me, everybody. Every boy, every girl, everybody. We should all be free. 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 Everybody. You. Me. Every man. Every woman. Every boy. Every girl. We should all be free. We should all be free. Everybody. Everybody. We should all be free. We should all be free. Everybody. We should all be free.
basis for love is when you're living, not always giving, taking. Receive my love, it's yours. The basis for love is time we're sharing, caring. Time is precious. Take this moment and listen. The basis. The basis for love. The basis. The basis for love. Love is precious when love is new. When it's old, what do you do? Do you give? Do you take? Make no mistake. With the basis for love. The basis. The basis for love. The basis. The basis for love. If you're in the mood, let's get to it. The basis for love. If you're in the mood, let's get to it. The basis for love. If you need a start, don't wait for us to part. Get to the basis for love. If she breaks your heart, make her move, think smart. The basis for love. If you're all alone and feeling blue, the basis for love will dawn on you. If you blew it, get to it. The basis for love. The basis is what you feel when love is real. The basis is when you do, she'll come to you. If you're in the mood, let's get to it. The basis for love. The basis. The basis for love. The basis. The basis for love. If you're in the mood, let's get to it. The basis for love. If you're in the mood, let's get to it. The basis for love. If you're in the mood. If you're in the mood. If you're in the mood. If you're in the mood.
Yes, sir. That was it. 2 hours of
Kléo.
Kléo. Shared thoughts, good music, good conversation. Yeah, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. It means it really means also every guest that comes. It really means a lot to that they contribute to this, because it means a lot. It's not just that we're curious, but everyone listening is also curious and just learning from the best in our city, so our country,
Thank you.
Yes, enjoy.
Thank you for tuning in.
And Shelter, 7th of March. Get your tickets. Alma Rhythm, Marcellus Pittman. Get your tickets. Get all the tickets.
You're listening to Operator.